Welcome to Vermontitude, a collaborative effort between Great Eastern Radio, the Brattleboro Reformer, and BCTV to bring you the stories behind the stories on the topics you want to learn more about. Because there's always more, so there'll always be Vermontitude. Hosted by me, Peter Fish Case. Welcome to Vermontitude. New episodes drop every Tuesday and can be found by going to Vermontitude.com, Reformer.com, Brattleboro.tv, and locally on Comcast Channel 1078. We come to you from our studios at the Innovation Box on Landmark Hill. I'm Peter Fish Case, and each week I cover the topics that are of concern to Windham County and the towns that reside within its borders. Joining us today, talking about voting, Hilary Francis, who's the town clerk here in the town of Brattleboro. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
All right. Voting. We're less than a month away from the election. And this is the big one, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of heat, a lot of attention, a lot of focus. And now ballots are starting to hit the boxes.
They sure are.
And that can be confusing. Mm-hmm. So that's why you're here today, to unconfuse us.
I will do my best.
All right. So first off, my wife and I got our ballots the other day, and I think there was some talk of them being delayed a little bit, but I think we got ours in a normal frame of time. So, thank you for that. And my wife likes to vote ahead of time. I like to vote day of. I'm a game day player. Mm-hmm. But can you you got your ballot?
I did.
And you're going to show us how to fill this thing out. Mm-hmm. Well, not how to fill it out, but how to submit it once it is filled out.
Right.
All right. Go. You're on.
Okay.
All right.
So I got my ballot.
This is live action.
We covered.
There we go. That's how
the address, right?
That's how we blur things out on a low budget. We use the Vermontitude stickers.
And using a pen cap to open it, so bear with me as I do that.
All right. So thank you for bringing the ballot. No,
yeah,
that worked
absolutely.
out great. That worked out great.
Okay,
we'll get a Vermontitude letter opener.
Inside, right now the envelope is empty. Mm-hmm. You can get rid of that outer mailing envelope that it came in. There are 4 different pieces of paper in here. So the first is your ballot. It is double-sided. Mm-hmm. On the back are the local justs of the peace.
Okay.
On the front are all the state and federal races. So you will fill that out. If you need help or you need information about what a high bailiff does, what their role is, if you need information about the candidates themselves, the Secretary of State's office included information about an online voter guide.
Oh, great.
It is unbiased in the sense that they didn't write anything about the candidates. They took each candidate's own quote for themselves and put it in.
Sure.
So that's where you can find out what the candidates say they stand for.
Okay.
Once you are done filling out your ballot, mm-hmm. It will go inside of this voted ballot envelope. Okay, you will see your name, there's a barcode, which we actually don't use in Brattleboro, but a number that goes with that, your town, and your district. So that's all on there. You will put your voted ballot inside of this voted ballot envelope. You will seal it, mm-hmm. and then you will need to make sure to sign the place where there's a big X that says voter sign here in ink.
Right.
Okay. And
then you have to write your name.
Right. You print your name, you put the date.
Okay.
If the ballot is not inside of the certificate envelope and it's not signed by the voter, we cannot count that vote. So that is really important. It will be considered defective. We will do our best to contact that voter and let them know and give them an opportunity to fix it. It's called curing the ballot. Okay. So there's still an opportunity. But if you just put it in the envelope and sign the envelope, you don't need to worry about that.
Okay.
And then your voted ballot envelope with the ballot inside can go into this mailing envelope.
Okay.
Okay. It is prepaid. Mm-hmm. So you don't need to put postage on it. You can certainly return it to us through the mail. You can use the drop box in our parking lot. We check that numerous times a day. You can bring it into us in the town clerk's office. Or if you haven't made your decision and you want to drop it off on election day, you can bring it right to the polls. We have a drop box right inside the entrance.
Okay.
So there are lots of different ways to return it. Just know that we need to have that ballot back in hand by 7 p.m., which is the close of polls on November 5th, election day, in order for it to count.
Okay.
So some states have post-date rules. Vermont does not. We have to have it in hand.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So that's that. Thank you. Mm-hmm. All right. And, and emphasizing that these things have to be signed, dated, and then put in the envelope and then dropped off. Address where they drop that off.
230 Main Street.
Okay.
We're in Suite 108, and the drop box is in the back parking lot, right by the wooden light post.
Right.
And it says ballots here in town business on it.
And I assume, and I'm going to ask you to speak on behalf of all town clerks, that their drop box are probably within close proximity to the town clerk's office.
I believe so.
County?
Yeah. I think that not every town clerk necessarily has a drop box.
Okay.
Some have mail slots that the mail goes right into their office. Some bigger towns, I think, can have more than one drop box. Like I don't want to speak for Burlington, but I feel like they used to, or they might still.
Okay.
And they need to be either under video surveillance or visible from the municipal center.
But if you have any questions about where to drop your ballot, certainly call the town clerk's office in the town you reside in.
Yes.
All right, let's drill into some interesting questions that you've been getting. So as I said, my wife filled hers out. She drove over to the municipal center, dropped it in the box, felt good about that. Mm-hmm. I'm old school. I show up on the Tuesday and cast my ballot live and in person. But what do I do with my ballot?
So ideally, you bring your ballot with you.
Okay.
You vote it there. You can vote it in advance and still put it through the tabulator, whichever is your preference. And that's sort of the easiest way to do it. If you forget your ballot, if your dog eats your ballot,
there you go.
Yeah. If you don't like that ballot, if you spill coffee on that ballot, if you didn't receive that ballot for some reason, we have an affidavit that you will sign.
Okay.
That simply says, I did not and I will not vote any other ballot for this election.
Okay.
And you sign it, and then we will give you a new ballot.
All right. Easy enough. So if in the case where we both got our ballots at the same time, but if I got my ballot and my wife didn't get her ballot, what do we do?
Be patient. The state was supposed to mail ballots to all voters last week. There was a slight delay, like you mentioned. Mm-hmm. They mailed Brattleboro's ballots on Tuesday.
Okay.
The post office is handling a lot of these ballots.
Yeah, they are.
And so it's possible that you may have gotten yours and your partner did not. I would give it a few days. I would say if by next Friday, a week from today, October 11th, somebody in your household was expecting a ballot and did not receive it, let us know, and we will make sure that you get a new ballot. There might be that affidavit that needs to be signed, right? Saying we're showing that a ballot was issued to you. You never received it. You're just signing saying, I didn't receive it. I will not vote another one in case it comes on the 12th after we've issued you a new ballot.
Okay. What about those folks who say, I am not a registered voter. Why did I receive my ballot?
So we will look into our system and find out. Chances are you are a registered voter and you're not aware of it. Vermont has same-day voter registration through the Department of Motor Vehicles. So when you go to get a license, renew your license, there's a checkbox that you need to check if you do not wish to register to vote. If you do not check that, it automatically registers you to vote. And so a lot of people don't realize that and don't realize that they did register to vote a handful of years ago, and here you are, you're getting a ballot.
All right. So with that in mind, so I'm registered to vote. If I don't vote in X amount of, do I become unregistered to vote?
No. The Board of Civil Authority, every other year when we're not in a major election year, is required to review the voter checklist. If we believe somebody has moved out of town, if we believe somebody has passed away, if we have any reason to believe that somebody should not be on the checklist, we will review that. We'll decide as a board who to challenge. We can't just remove somebody from the checklist, but if somebody is challenged, they will receive a letter in the mail and they'll have an opportunity to say, yes, I should no longer be on the checklist, or yes, I still live here and I should be on the checklist. If we don't hear back from them in 2 general election cycles, which is ultimately 4 years, then we can remove them from the checklist. It's important to know, though, Vermont has same-day voter registration. So if you have been removed from the checklist and you want to be added back on and you show up to the polls and you're not on the checklist, you visit our town clerk's table, you fill out a voter registration form, and you can register to vote.
Okay. What are some of the interesting questions that you're getting as these ballots start to arrive and we get into this, presidential elections always draw a lot more attention. There are a lot more people who feel like they got more skin in the game, so they're more activated during this than like a midterm. So what are some of the questions that you're getting?
Yeah. So some questions are, I have a college student who's away. Can they register to vote in the town where they are? Can they stay registered here? What does that look like? And the answer is yes and yes, but not both.
Okay.
So if they choose to register to vote in another state or another town, they're welcome to do that as long as they have the residency requirements and meet all requirements to register to vote where they are. But they need to let us know and we will remove them from the checklist. If they neglect to let us know, that state will notify us and we'll remove them from the checklist regardless.
Okay.
Or if you're a college student and you're away temporarily, you can stay registered to vote here and let us know if you need a ballot mailed to that other state or town. You'll need to sign an affidavit. You can do that electronically through email, no problem. As soon as we get that signed affidavit, we will mail you a ballot. Alternatively, a ballot was likely mailed to your home address here in Brattleboro, and your parents can bring it to you if they're visiting or mail it to you overnight.
Okay. All right. So it's pretty easy to vote, right?
Yeah. It's one of the things, Vermont, as long as you're eligible to vote, makes it fairly easy and accessible.
Well, the same day voting is nice because like the last thing you want to do is cast your vote, be surprised that you may have fallen off that list, and you can just be, no, just go over there, just re-register and we'll get you in. And
it's actually one of the reasons why I love the fact that, Brattleboro's small enough, most people can get downtown.
Right.
I love the fact that we have a single voting location, even though we have 3 districts, because a lot of people in our town are transient and they move and they don't think when they move, oh, I need to let the town clerk's office know.
Right, sure.
And so if you've changed districts, you don't need to then drive across town to get to a different polling location.
Yeah.
So that's a really nice sort of bonus to having it all in one location.
Plus, you get to see people you haven't seen for maybe a few years.
Yep.
All right.
Yep, absolutely.
Anything that we're leaving out that we can think of? We covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah, I'd say if you know how you're voting, mark your ballot, get it in. Another question that we've been getting is, if I get my ballot in early, does it count? How does it count compared to same day, right? Some states don't count their absentees until after the polls are closed. They get the results. They see how many absentees there are, and they say, well, if all of these people voted for the second choice, would it make a difference? Okay, then we'll process them. That is not how Vermont does it. So any ballot that comes to us starting next week, we have a process where we have 2 people who open the ballots, make sure that they are not defective, that the envelopes are signed and all of that good stuff. And then they separate the envelope from the ballot, in a way that the person who's looking at the ballot doesn't know whose envelope it is, right? So your vote remains anonymous.
Okay.
We take a lot of care in that. We have a strict procedure with that. And then those ballots actually get fed into the tabulator. similar to somebody starting next week who wishes to vote in person. They can come into the Brattleboro town clerk's office and actually physically, same as they would on election day, vote and physically put their ballot through the tabulator. So the tabulator will tell us how many ballots were cast, but it doesn't give us the results until after the polls are closed. Those tabulators come to the polling place on election day, and voters on election day also put their ballots through the same tabulators. So the absentee ballots and the in-person early and the in-person on election day, all of those ballots are commingled and they all get counted together. As long as a ballot is returned to us by 7 p.m. on election day, it goes through the tabulator and is counted all in the same.
So what are you telling me, that every vote counts?
Yep.
Wow.
But only one vote per voter.
Only one. That's it. Hilary, I always appreciate you coming in and kind of untangling this. And voting used to be this simple thing. You can argue that it's easier now to vote than ever, but there's just some extra moving parts. So I always appreciate you coming on and helping walk us through that.
Absolutely. Can I add one last thing that I think is important for voters to know? So while the state mails ballots to all active registered voters for the November general election, it's important to know that it's only for the November general election every other year. If you're looking for an absentee ballot for the state primaries every other August or for town meeting day every March, you still have to request a ballot for that. It doesn't automatically come to you. We recommend to voters who know that they're going to be voting absentee throughout the year, mark it on your calendar every January, call our office and request absentee ballots for the calendar year. And we will put that in and you will automatically be mailed ballots for that calendar year. It won't roll over from year to year, but that's an easy way to do it.
Okay. Appreciate that. Appreciate you and all the hard work you do to keep this thing between the lines. So thanks for jumping on.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.